Hey doing guys, tomato sauce in here, and tonight I return to my longtime warrior subscribers with an Arms Warrior guide for Dragonflight 10.0.5 solo shuffle focused. Here it is. We're back. If you've been in this channel since day one, you'll know, right? If you've been subscribed for a long time, that I've always been a warrior at heart. I know I deviate a little bit in retail because there's so many options and you want to try a lot of different things. But I'm back on Arms Warrior. We've got Ignore Pain back. It's a lot of fun. I want to go through a couple different items on the menu tonight. We've got stat priority. We've got our class talents. We've got our arms specific spec talents because we do have new talent trees in Dragonflight. And we have our PvP talents that I'd like to go over. On top of that, I'd like to shoot some arena situations your way and, you know, try to help you guys out, right? Some stuff I've learned by watching other warriors and talking to people after solo shuffles when we're not being toxic and tilted. You know, you get to learn some things. So it's a very fun gameplay mode. If you haven't tried it yet, try it out. First, let's get into gearing, right? On an Arms Warrior, you have two craftable items, right? You have the helmet, it's called the Infurious Helm of Vengeance, and the boots, Infurious War Boots of Impunity. The helmet gives you a little bit more physical damage for people that are attacking you. Think about it like a Thorns proc. Doesn't do very much damage, but it's there, right? It's nice. And then the other craftable item is the War Boots. The equip here is that Gladiator's Distinction reduces the duration of incoming crowd control effects by an additional 5%. What is Gladiator's Distinction, you ask? That is your trinket bonus. So when you use two PvP trinkets, right, that you can buy off the Honor vendor or the Conquest vendor, you take 15% less duration of incoming crowd control effects. The boots give you 5% more. So they give you a 20% CC duration, which is really nice into those classic setup comps like RMP and RPS. And to be honest with you, with the way Assassination Rogue is tuned right now, you really need that extra CC, especially if you're not an orc, so that you can rock your Fireblood racial from the Dark Iron Dwarves. And that's a big Assassination Rogue counter. I happen to think Dark Iron Dwarf might be the best racial next to maybe Gnome for Arms Warrior right now. It's really a toss-up. If an Assassination Rogue is not in the game, maybe Gnome is the best. But I really do like Fireblood because it turns into an offensive trinket if you want to use it in that way, right? If you can use it in that way. There's some comps that'll be a little sketchy to do that, but it removes all poison, disease, curse, magic, and bleed effects, and you get a very big strength bonus when you use that, depending on how many buffs you remove. So very, very good racial for Warrior in Dragonflight right now. But we're talking gearing, and as you can see, we're going critical strike and versatility heavy, haste and mastery wherever you can get them. I find that this amount of critical strike is very nice because you are critting very, very often with your mortal strikes, and they crit upwards of 70 to 80,000, especially with CDs rolling. I've even seen 100K mortal strike, so it is absolutely huge. And you definitely want to stack critical strike on an Arms Warrior right now. Haste, which has traditionally been the best stat for Warrior in general, in my opinion, I think it was all of Shadowlands, especially for Fury. You're always rage capped right now, so you really don't need as much haste as you did traditionally because you have a ton of rage, right? And we'll get into why you have that when we get into our spec talents, right? Our arm specific talents. But having said that, I think we covered gearing pretty well. Your enchants, you can see I'm rocking a fierce armor kit on the legs, speed on the cape, speed on the bracers, speed on the boots, versatility on the rings, waking stats on the chest, just going big damage, and then Sophic Writ on the weapon so that I can proc main stat more and just continue that nice consistent damage profile of Arms Warrior, right? Which turns into a pretty heavy burst profile in your cooldowns. Let's go into our class talents. I won't go into every single one of these. If you want this exact spec, I will have it in the description of the YouTube video. You can see I have it titled PvP Arms. I will copy the loadout in the description for you guys. So if you want to skip ahead of this, you definitely can. If not, though, let me go through a couple quick talents here. Intervene is one of our best utility spells. Rallying Cry, again, a great utility spell. It's been an Arms Warrior staple for a very, very long time. You're going to buff the health of all the raid members that are in range by 15% temporarily. It's a nice little boost when you're trying to stop a kill from happening. Impending Victory. This is an incredible sustainability. Heals you for 30% of your max health. You can actually cancel some goes just by using Impending Victory, Bitter Immunity, and Defensive Stance. So like the 1 minute goes, not the very big 2 minute goes that classes are using. You can actually get away sometimes with just trading an Impending Victory and your Bitter Immunity. So two very good abilities there that can save a parry, right? And you're in Defensive Stance a lot as arms anyway. But you got to know when to kind of mix and mingle it up with defensive and battle stance. Obviously, we're going to take Stormbolt and Fear. Those are our two big crowd control abilities on Warrior. I generally will Intimidating Shout a healer. And honestly, in solo shuffle, I'm usually spearing blade storming my kill target and mixing up Stormbolts and Fears on the healer just to cause disruption in solo shuffle. I find that's a better play, making the healer fall behind a little bit. Maybe they have to trade their trinket early, and then the DPS could die in the next go, and you'll get a lot more cooldowns out of the opponents that way. So that kind of gets into my arena situations talk, but that's that. We get Heroic Leap with Bounding Stride, which is huge. You can pick Shattering or Wrecking. I alternate these depending on what I'm going against. Bubble Ice Block, Shattering. Warlock's Wrecking Throw. Ret Paladin could go either way. I usually take Shatter in solo shuffle. Now, we take this down into our big boy talents. And as you can see, we go Avatar into Blade Master's Torment. So we have 2 Blade Storms. And then Spear of Bastion with both Spear talents. I think these talents go without really needing to explain them. But when you look over into the spec tree with Blade Storm and Unhinged, I think you see how Arms Warrior really wraps up as just a spinning, whirling ball of destruction, right? So you get 2 Blade Storms because of Blade Master's Torment. So you want to stagger your Blade Storm from your Avatar Blade Storm. So you get a lot of extra mobility, CC break, etc. by having 2 Blade Storms. And while you're spinning, anyone that's near you is going to absolutely eat 2 Mortal Strikes to the face. So Unhinged is an awesome little compliment there. We also play Battle Lord with Dreadnought. Why do we do that? In the spec tree, Battle Lord Overpowered deals 35% increased damage and has a 35% chance to reset the cooldown of Mortal Strike and Cleave, and it also reduces the range cost of those abilities by 10. And Dreadnought Overpower has 2 charges, causes a seismic wave, dealing 5,500 damage to all enemies in a 10-yard line in front of the target, deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. With Dreadnought and Battle Lord, sometimes you're getting like 4 or 5 Mortal Strikes in a row. You can just fall into these chains of massive Mortal Strike that you're gonna love to have. Defensively, Fueled by Violence, huge sustain for us. You're healed for 85% of the damage dealt by deep wounds. We are a crit heavy class. You're critting a lot. Your deep wounds is always ramping up on multiple targets. You're going to get a lot of healing out of this. And then Ignore Pain is our #1 healing ability right now. Just incredible throughput from this ability. Every 11 seconds, you're going to use Ignore Pain on cooldown no matter what. It costs 40 rage. It's worth all 40 of that rage because it's going to keep you in the fight longer. You're just going to fight through the pain there. We go into Colossus Smash. We do not take Warbringer. I take Blunt Instruments to get more duration on Colossus Smash effect. So you're going to be able to do more damage to your kill target for a longer time period. And if they're stacked on top of each other, you'll obviously Sweeping Strikes into your Colossus Smash and absolutely crack them. Valor and Victory is a must-have because you need it to get to Bladestorm, but you would take it anyway because it reduces the cooldown to die by the sword by 30 seconds and gives you 1% versatility. Come into the right side capstones of the tree. You're going to see we take the Executioner legendary from Shadowlands. Execute causes the target to take 35% more damage from your next Mortal Strike. It stacks up to twice. You're not going to hold MSs to stack it. You know, it's just think of it as passive damage bonus that's being added onto your Mortal Strikes when you get a sudden death proc. Then we also have Sharpened Blades. Mortal Strike and Execute's critical strike damage is increased by 10%, and Execute has a 5% increased critical strike chance, just adding to your deep wounds. So that is your spec tree. I do not deviate from these two trees. You know, as I said, I'll change out Wrecking Throw and Shattering Throw depending on like the comp that I'm going up against. But I really don't change anything in these trees. I think they're perfect the way they are. It would be interesting to maybe try to trade some talents out and get endurance training, but not interesting enough for me to do it. It would be 5% more stam, which is pretty nice with where our health pool's at right now. But I don't really think it's worth it. I love what we have in this kit, and I don't think there's a talent point that I would change. Now, if you couldn't get value out of Shattering or Wrecking, right, maybe take this out, drop it in Inspiring Presence, you know, maybe Cacophonous Roar, keep them feared even longer, right? I don't know. I mean, this is pretty much my 100% go-to spec. I really don't deviate from this too often. And I never change what's going on in the spec tree. I find it perfect right now. I really think Arms is just a lot of fun to play. Even when you lose, you win because you learn from the loss, and it's just a good time overall. Let's get into PvP talents. 2 out of the 3 down here, I don't change at all. I keep Sharpened Blade in every game. I keep Warbringer in every game. I think the 50% healing reduction in this meta is too big to not have. And I think Warbringer, with how mobile all these classes are now, is a must-have. The extra damage that you get from Warbringer is huge. You're also rooting your enemies, and if they're stacked up, you're rooting people in a cone, right? So it roots all the enemies that get hit by that cone of damage, which is big. I mean, in a game where there's too much mobility, you need this to catch people, keep them in place for a moment. It's the difference between needing to Stormbolt your spear target, right? Or you root them, spear them, Stormbolt the healer, and bust on the DPS. So yeah, a lot of value out of Warbringer. I just can't change these 2 out. I love them too much. Then you get into Disarm. I run Disarm against any possible melee. So if it's RMP, I'm still probably running Disarm. For RMP, maybe you could make an argument to drop Sharpened Blade and take Banner in its place. So you'd have Disarm for the Rogue, Banner for, you know, try to pre-banner one of their goes. And then Warbringer because it's Warbringer and it's awesome. I think you could probably make that argument there. If I'm going into a full caster comp, I'll either run Banner or Storm of Destruction because of how much value we get out of Blade Storming with this setup and this spec. Storm of Destruction is huge into caster cleaves because they're going to root you, they're going to fear you, they're going to, you know, drop you in all these different directions. This is going to allow you to Blade Storm more, immune more of that CC, and just keep you in the fight longer. And again, every time you Blade Storm, you're getting those unhinged Mortal Strike procs, so you really can't lose. Storm of Destruction is an awesome talent into caster cleaves. That's pretty much what I use from a PvP talent perspective. Banner and Storm of Destruction are the only 2 that I really bring in. I don't think the other talents are worth it. Rebound is probably so situational. I don't think there's enough value in Spell Reflection to ever take Rebound. It's kind of a waste of a talent. Maybe if it was like 250%, something obnoxious where like if you did skill shot a G-Pie back at somebody, they would get obliterated. Not like one shot, right? But like, you know, let them get hit hard for twice the G-Pie or something. That would be kind of funny to me. But outside of that, I don't see a reason to really take Rebound. So those are the PvP talents. Now, arena situations, right? So here's what I'm talking about when I talk arena situations. I see some arms warriors, you know, run in, charge, they pop Avatar, Warbringer, you know, Blade Storm, everything, Spear, all at the same time. That's not the way you want to do it, right? I've already kind of talked through this a little bit, but something that has really, you know, helped me push forward, unlock the transmog. You know, I was knocking on 2K's door today, had a couple on and off games, but that's all right. We'll get back there. We'll go to Duelist again and, you know, have some fun. This is one tip, right? And I actually saw this in a Bajira gameplay video, and I was trying to go out and one-shot people, right? And I was kind of hard stuck. I changed this simple tip up, shot up 300 points in rating. I spread out my spear, right? And my first blade storm. Now, when I do this, I'm getting a wall. I'm getting, you know, some cooldowns out of the DPS and probably the healer, because they think I'm about to Avatar and Colossus Smash and commit everything. I didn't commit anything yet. I committed spear and my first blade storm, right? And now, when the walls wear down from this Ellie Shaman, and, you know, the Resto Druid's out of Trank, I'm literally coming over here, fearing him, jumping back to his boy over here. And, you know, I'll usually Colossus Smash first, but you Colossus Smash into your Avatar Blade Storm, and you are cracking. Now that Ellie Shaman has no walls, the Druid got out of his CC and he's coming back at you, and you one-shot him too. But no, now the Ellie Shaman has committed their wall to a Spear Blade Storm because they figure they're going to get one shot. Then you get an extra fear out of the heal, or you get an extra CC on the healer when their, you know, their big stop is gone. Their grounding totem, their tranquility, whatever, right? You get people to commit a lot out of just Spear and Blade Storm. So my biggest tip is split up your big arms warrior go into multiple goes, right? Commit Spear and Blade Storm to your first like mini go, and then you have Avatar and Colossus Smash. Make sure you come in, Colossus Smash first, then press Avatar, because that's going to get you going in another Blade Storm. And it's huge damage, right? So that's my biggest tip that I can give you for, you know, really making Arms' damage profile spiky for a longer period of time, right? It's not super massive insanity spear one shot, right? But your spear and your Blade Storm is enough pressure to warrant walls. Then you have Avatar and Colossus Smash together, where you're going to get another Blade Storm out of that, and you might either get their second defensive, get extra defensives out of the healer, whatever, right? And now you've got that split up in like 30-second increments. So the longer the game goes, the more ahead you will be, because technically you have 2 goes as an arms warrior right now. You know, 4 goes in a 2-minute window, where most classes have 2 goes in that 2-minute window, right? The bigger go and then the mini go at around the 1-minute mark. So enjoy it, guys. I hope that you learned something from this video. I'll throw some Arms Warrior gameplay together, right? For you know, some solo shuffle gameplay for you guys. I was hoping to get a game tonight, but I've been in queue for 25 minutes while I've been making this guide. So if I get it, guys, I'll throw it up as another video on the channel. Again, for the build, check the description in the you know, the YouTube description, and you can have my little Arms Warrior you know, build that I use in solo shuffle 2s and 3s right now. So I hope you have a great night, guys. Have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great year. Tomato sauce and out. Arms Warrior officially back in on the channel, this time in Dragonflight. Have a good night, guys. Take it easy.